For some reason, we keep coming back to this area of South Milwaukee. Bender Park is the home of these two roads, Fitzsimmons Road and Oakwood Road, that are said to be very haunted. Both of them are crossed by a railroad track with gate crossings located at both intersections, and they run parallel to each other all the way to the cliff of Lake Michigan. And these roads used to have houses and farms located on them. They've all since been removed. These are completely abandoned roads. It's basically become part of the Bender Park itself, with a lot of wildlife, and there's weeds and trees growing through the concrete, and it's just been kind of overtaken by nature again. There is a deep, undocumented urban mythos connected to these roads, going all the way back to the late 1800s, where it's famously said that this farmer that had a plot of land there on Fitzsimmons and Plevick Road, the road that now leads into Bender Park, this farmer snapped one day and murdered his wife and neighbor with an axe. He was then said to burn down his property, and he has been dubbed by some as the Hermit. This gruesome tale is matched by stories of drag racing that took place there in the 1950s, where cars would barrel down these parallel roads right off the cliff, resulting in a number of deaths. In the 70s, you have a very well-documented case of Bigfoot activity. You have more modern rumors going on, like people that have cited ghostly tail lights at the end of the cliff on this road that's abandoned and barricaded, so you can't even drive your car down there anyway. There's a plague of rumors of suicides on these roads. People have reported hearing the voice of a little girl, screams, a lot of the typical type urban mythos stuff connected to these haunted sites, as well as strange activity around the railroad track crossing there at Fitzsimmons and at Oakwood Road. Sightings of ghost trains. Shadow figures are commonly reported. People who have reported getting nosebleeds around the area of the railroad tracks. We could possibly resist opening a case file on Bender Park.
Here's my phone.
Good.
Little frogs.
So we arrived at Fitzsimmons Road. Mind you, I had to work at 6 in the morning, so I was eager to get moving.
This is our new correspondent, Ryan. As uncomfortable as it made us,
Everyone,
how are you doing tonight, we are to leave our phones behind.
pretty good.
Excellent. Cell phones will
Just started.
contaminate and interfere with some of the equipment that we use, so we set out, grabbed about as much equipment as we could carry, and head down this dark-ass road. All right. Do you have the... Okay. Now...
We get our gear together. Marty places
we take one of these voice
a
recorders,
control mic very near to where
put it on this rock.
the houses of the neighborhood are, to rule out contamination, meaning that if we're down the road and we hear a noise, someone yelling at their TV perhaps, and it's picked up on that mic, we can easily rule that out as audio contamination.
Hidden right there. We don't want to mistake that as a spirit voice later. That's why we leave a control mic strategically placed on the location. Let's walk around the barrier and cross the railroad tracks, where a number of claims have been made in recent times, from ghost trains being seen to the wishbone gates lighting up with no trains around. These are the railroad tracks that I've read reports of strangely lighting up when people are near it. It's a pretty fantastic claim.
Oh, this is the spot.
It's definitely
here?
one of the things that caught my ear about this road. This is the spot here.
Terrifying and interesting at the same time.
I would crap my pants.
So we continue past the railroad tracks
I don't know if you get anything on camera here because it's so dark.
and several feet from the tracks, I get a reading on the millimeter.
Oh, I just had a hit.
Did you?
1.9 it maxed out at. Now it's going back down.
Yeah, I see it falling
We started picking up EMF.
right about in here.
Yeah. Right here.
Okay.
1.0 right here.
That's what I'm
1.7.
concerned about.
Oh, the tower.
And then I looked up and I noticed that I was standing right next to a big electrical tower.
Just off Fitzsimmons Road, maybe 100 feet or so, there's a huge power transmission tower.
So it's going to give off EMF, which can lead to feelings of unease, and that is one of the claims.
They call this effect the fear cage.
If the electrical tower was for some reason unstable and the EMFs were high enough, that could cause auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, maybe if it's high enough, even a ghost train.
This is a consistent
The fact that
reading
we were
here.
picking up EMF within 100 feet of this tower was perfectly normal. And as investigators, these are precisely the things that we are looking for.
That can certainly help add to the creepy
So we've got the transmission line kicking out the EMF right in the spot it's said to have
It
activity.
would make sense if it's the tower, because once we get away from it,
I get the readings from the
start to
tower.
drop down.
We start to walk away, and I notice that the milligauss reading starts
Now
to
that
drop.
we're away from that tower.
It drops off to 0.
So we keep going. This is 2/3 of a mile that we had to cover.
overgrown, narrow road.
We get up about 800 feet up the road. We're getting very close to that first road called Plevic Road.
Yeah, another hit.
No kidding, all the way back here?
All the way back here, it spiked at 1.1.
And Ryan gets another EMF hit.
Let me take a couple steps back.
That's almost 1,000 feet from the
Oh,
tower.
no, I'm not getting anything.
So typically, if you were to stand underneath a strong, high voltage power transmission line, you might get readings in the area of 5 milligauss. That could be expected to be normal.
Okay. Keep moving.
But me and Ryan didn't really understand at the time that out 700 feet from such a line, you shouldn't be getting much of anything at all.
So we continue forward, and we reach Plevic Road. At first glance, just looked like it led to a dirt mound.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
This is creepy. This road does have something about it.
What is this mound?
And it greets you with this feeling of eyes
I
upon
first
you.
thought it was a foundation or something. It looks like it drops off. Be careful.
I'm actually getting chills just thinking about it now.
I'm feeling some heebie-jeebies.
Also,
Oh.
those little instincts in me started firing up.
Get a spike?
Yeah, I got a 1.8.
Right when I felt the chills?
Yeah, this is a 1.8 milligauss reading we're getting here at Plevic Road,
It was a very quick 1.8.
approximately 1,000 feet from
Well, that's
the tower.
interesting because I didn't get it on the K2 meter, and the difference between the two is that picks up the lower EMF.
That shouldn't happen.
That means it's a specific type of EMF. It's got to be lower than 30 hertz, what you just picked up, or the K2 meter.
Because it was real fast, like it
Blipped right
right
off.
back to 0, yep.
You weren't moving it around or anything?
It's an abandoned road.
I'm just going to try to keep my camera on this.
We're nowhere near power lines. We don't have our cell phones.
We'll come back.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm going to need that light.
We continue on several feet down the road, and Marty happens to mention how the road feels creepy and secluded.
It just feels so secluded and weird.
I could see how it could make people
And then
uncomfortable.
we capture a spirit response.
It is difficult to detect, but it is most certainly there.
It just feels so secluded and weird.
Play it a few times, you can hear
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
this vocal tone.
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
You hear
It just feels so secluded and weird.
someone talking under me,
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
like, thank you.
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
It was responding to what Marty was saying.
It just feels so secluded and weird.
Thank you.
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
It's in context. It spoke to us. It was intelligent.
It just feels so secluded and weird.
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
Not just intelligent, but almost sarcastic.
Oh, we got a .1.
And just a second after that, Ryan gets another
You
reading.
got a reading?
Alright, I gotta find a way to keep this glued to here.
Darn it, we didn't know that we were being
There's no
spoken
power
to.
lines back here.
We can only detect this after our
I mean,
investigation.
it was just a .1, but it was still, like you said, no power line.
Not having heard that voice, we didn't know it was there, so we kept going.
Don't know what kind of wildlife is out here.
Oh yeah, there could be coyotes.
Oh, I freaking hate coyotes.
Several more feet down the road,
Got a bridge.
we were
Is
about
that a bench?
halfway to the cliff,
All right. This is another one we're gonna have to check out.
Yep.
and I got a 4.9 on the millimeter.
4.9.
Did you get
Keep
that on
listening.
tape?
No, I'm
Okay.
juggling
It's
this.
the equivalent of standing directly under a powerful power line
4.9.
in the middle of nowhere.
I think that's weird.
That is very weird.
That's a scary feeling.
That was amazing.
Try it again.
Alright, here.
We tried to go back and walk through the same
I'm
area,
not sure I got the camera on it this time.
hold the device in the same way.
Yeah, no,
Nothing.
nothing this time.
Can't reproduce the reading. It's transient. It comes and it goes.
I was convinced at that point something weird was definitely going on.
We continued, and finally we start reaching some of the barriers that are down by the cliff. The destination of our investigation.
Just really watch our feet, because we don't want to go tumbling over.
Out of all the urban legends about Fitzsimmons Road, we were able to confirm 2 tragic fatalities. One being a 22-year-old female who had been found on the shore of Lake Michigan, apparently died from exposure to the elements. But the primary purpose of the investigation was to try to contact Gwen, who, after a bout with emotional distress, decided to take her car off the cliff and end her own life.
Okay, so we're down to 60 degrees here.
Is this the end of the road?
The very moment that we cross the threshold onto the cliff of
We're gonna
this
need the
site,
light.
and control mic that we left back towards the car in the neighborhood, which I'd set on this rock, picks up a series of frequency pops. And we will see this kind of stuff happen just before, during, or after activity occurs, so I've learned to start paying attention to it.
Holy crap, here's the actual cliff.
Getting a shot of the cliff.
After at least a 45-minute walk to the end of this road, we reached the cliff at Lake Michigan to try to get an EVP session with Gwen.
Under park facilities.
Part of the park.
This is crazy. My name is Marty and this is Ryan. From what I understand, a young woman named Gwen went off the cliff here in an act to end her own life. I have a voice recorder in my hand, it has a little red light on it. And you have anything to say, you want to talk to us or talk to the rest of the world, find this little red light and tell us if you're here.
If you can say anything at all into the record, let us know you're here. It would be greatly
I saw it.
4-5.
I saw it.
Yep.
It's falling right now.
Yep.
Back to 0.
And then I start
That's
getting
crazy.
a
So,
bunch of readings
we're
on
gonna
the
want
pretty
millimeter.
much-
Check the recorder at that mark.
know,
1-6,
Yep.
3-6.
Yeah, we're getting readings. That's pretty interesting.
Another big
Is that you,
reading,
Gwen?
and there's nothing that we can ostensibly see here that would be causing a reading like this
Turn the
to
REM
occur.
pod feature on.
We're miles from the power plant. We're almost 3,000 feet from the tower.
But at this point,
Please talk to us.
the EMF readings stop. Do you want us to stay?
You can keep us here. Just come right over to Ryan's hand and put your hands right on that metal stick.
Yep.
My recorder just,
Did it
for
just
some
die?
reason, can you videotape? For some reason, my recorder just decided to stop recording.
And
Um,
Marty's voice recorder shut off unexpectedly.
I don't know if this means we have a dead battery or.
He had not pressed anything.
Let me see here.
It just shut off.
Just,
He powered it on.
now it says half a battery.
What was a full battery is now at half a battery.
Okay, well, I'm recording on the Sony voice recorder again. It shut off. I've actually never seen it do that.
My voice recorder in hand shuts off. I get it going again.
It's not doing it anymore.
Yeah?
Ryan hands me
it's
the millimeter.
like even.
And just for the second that I had it out of frame,
Whoa!
Wow.
the REM pod feature activated.
When is that you? Can you do that again?
I was not touching it.
No, I know you weren't.
This was the moment that I realized, okay, there could be something to this. This device has never gone off in my hands before like this. REM pod circuit's very stable, and it went off like I was grabbing the antenna, but nothing was touching it.
I don't know how many dozens and dozens of hours I've been using this thing, but it's the first time I've ever had that happen.
In that spot where Gwen committed suicide, I was shocked.
That is the damnedest thing. I've never had that happen yet.
The battery on the recorder draining.
My recorder just.
The EMF fields that we were getting that shouldn't have been there.
Ooh, 4.5.
You know,
1-6,
Yep.
3-6.
Yeah, we're getting readings.
It all leads to an electrical interference of some sort.
It went into, I think, the second light on the thing.
And we have no way of explaining.
Let me have you hang on to this. When this light that I'm turning on right here,
So Marty brought out the EM pump to encourage more activity.
that can give you energy to communicate with us. Feel free to use it. I want you to tell us.
At this point,
Hey, look at this. Kitty light.
we notice
I don't know what that is. It could be a cop.
headlights in the park below, and we capture an EVP.
It could be a cop.
But it's not the voice we were expecting to catch.
It must be at this time of night. You might be checking the park out.
Figuring out what EVPs say is kind of like Hangman. You hear certain syllables in there, and you fill in the blanks. And then you really have to listen to the inflection of the EVP to understand what it's saying.
It could be a cop.
And that it's in context.
It must be at this time of night. You might be checking the park out.
Here we are watching this cop pull in, and we get the EVP. It says, "Don't you break that law."
It's similar to
You might be
the
checking the park out.
EVP we got previously in the night. That sarcastic,
It just feels so secluded and weird.
thank you.
I could see how it could make people uncomfortable.
This is another strong implication that we have an intelligent spirit with us.
Look at the turn around.
What we apparently didn't get is a reply from Gwen or
Looks like
Britt,
some sort of a SUV.
none of which I am
We might have to cut
relieved.
this a little short.
But what we did get is no more comforting exactly either.
All right. Thank you, Gwen. We gotta head back.
It definitely raised more questions than it did answers. It's a puzzle. And it's not going to be anything that happens overnight.
Your phone?
Unknowingly, we had built a case on Fitzsimmons.
This alleged hermit that's out there, which I'm convinced that it is an actual person. He could have just chose to ignore us. And he didn't. Fitzsimmons Road definitely warranted a follow-up investigation.